Hello, everybody, and welcome back to From BA to Broadway. I am indeed that good old host of yours, Mr. Brennan Stefanik, and today I am joined by one of the loveliest people on the planet. You may know her from the tours of Cats the Musical and The Grinch and some other stuff in cities near you. It is Miss Taryn Smithson. What's going on, Taryn?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. This is incredible.
I'm so happy to have you. Welcome to the pod. Taryn, who the heck are you and what do you do?
Oh my gosh. Well, I am Taryn, everyone. I'm a dancer and choreographer and performer.
You're a triple
and
threat,
human.
baby.
Girl, I just kind of do all the things.
As you should.
I love it. I love to dance. I love to perform. I've loved it since I was a little baby kid. And I knew it was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life when I was literally 10 years old. And so I'm so happy to finally be doing it and living in New York and doing the
thriving
grind.
and popping off.
You're so sweet.
It's true. Taryn, how did we meet?
Mutual friends of ours from school.
That is how we do it in the theatrical world, you know?
I always say I'm so grateful for like the community that I built at school because it's like it moves past that. Like it's not just the people you went to school with. It's like all the alumni and then their friends and these people. You just run into the same people.
So you do indeed have a degree in theater.
I do. I do have a BFA from the Boston Conservatory.
Yeah, you do. Rock and roll. Okay, well, today we are getting down with the good old dance call. In the past couple of weeks, we talked about auditions, we talked about callbacks, but that was more of the in-the-room vocal kind of stuff and just kind of the procedural of that. But now we get into this wonderful world that I don't really know too much about, if I'm being honest, because I am certified. I'm a certified strong mover.
I love it. I always say, like, because I teach a lot for young kids and even adults, and so many people are like, I don't dance. Like, I'm not a dancer. I'm strong. And I'm like, anyone can dance. Like, it is about just like moving your body to music and feeling strong and comfortable in your own skin. And the more you do it, the better it feels,
of
you
course.
know? And that's kind of at the end of the day, like the best dancers have just been doing it forever, you know? So everyone can dance. I always say that. We all have, you know,
that's it.
Our bodies. That's all you need.
Move your body, have some fun regardless, you know? So what exactly is a dance call, you know?
Absolutely. A dance call is where a team of people, creative team, and usually an associate choreographer or a dance captain will teach a short combination of dance, whether it be, you know, a few 8 counts of tap or jazz or whatever they need to see. And they'll break it down, you know, teach it to you movement by movement, count by count, and then they'll break you down into groups, and then you usually do it once or twice, and then that's it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So where does that fall in terms of like the timeline of the audition? You know, like say you're a non-union girly, you're showing up at whatever time in the morning.
The early.
You know, you get to get seen in the room for something. What's going on?
Absolutely. I'd say it's pretty early on in the process of auditioning. I mean, I've definitely been in, there's always exceptions to the rules.
Oh, of course,
I've been in a lot of weird situations where people need like a quick replacement for someone. So it was like a quick one-off dance call and then you either heard or you didn't. But most of the time, you know, these dance calls happen pretty early on in the audition process. And a lot of times what it looks like for us and for me at least is, you know, you dance and then there's a cut and then maybe you'll dance again or you'll sing and then you'll dance again and sing again. It's like you just keep kind of going through and they'll cut. Dance again, cut, sing, cut, you know. So you just kind of have to be prepared for anything and everything that day.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Oh dear God. You know what? I will say I have had one dance call in my life. We'll talk about that later.
I can't wait.
So yes, I have been in that room once.
Yep.
And,
yeah. It's something. It's so funny that it can be so scary for some people, and I think maybe it's just because I was raised in such a heavy dance background that I was doing conventions and competitions where we would be like mock auditioning or auditioning for like a scholarship at a convention somewhere. And so I got so used to being in front of a table like that, you know, growing up, it didn't really feel like anything bigger than that. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to do a dance for this people, you know? But it's definitely a skill. And that was something that I did have to learn because I was someone, oh my gosh, Miss ADHD could not remember a combination to save her life. And so that was something that was really difficult for me, is that I would love to like go up and show what I could do, but at the end of the call, I would not be able to remember it because I was, young and I couldn't remember anything.
What was like your dance history prior to college? Like, did you go to a performing arts high school?
I did not. I wish. They were supposed to build one and it never went through, which is so unfortunate because my area is filled with talented performing arts students. And it was supposed to be built, never happened. But yeah, I kind of made my own performing arts program in my own brain. That's what we kind of did.
Oh my God, in your brain?
No, in my brain. I was like, I'm doing it because my family and I had looked at going to North Carolina School of the Arts.
Gotcha.
The high school. And I had looked into doing that. My family and I, we had like gone and toured the school and everything because I really wanted to just do this every day. I knew it's what I wanted to do. And my family was so incredibly supportive. And gosh, I'm so grateful for them for every step of that. But yeah, we looked into doing that, but and at the end of the day, it was so far away. And what we kind of came to the conclusion of was like, why don't we just build it like yourself? Like, let's do acting classes on the weekends, or let's do singing classes when we can, and so
that's awesome.
Yeah, we kind of made it work in some way, shape, or form. I was running around in so many million gazillion directions.
I can imagine.
My poor mom and
also,
my poor dad.
I was gonna say, shout out to your parents.
Shout out to Keith and Dina. Awesome. We love them. They're the best. And yeah, we made it work, and my siblings were also so incredibly supportive, and I'm so grateful that. Yeah, and it also was, at the end of the day, you had to kind of do what was best for you. And sometimes that can ruffle feathers or, make people upset. And I was just trying to do what I loved every day. I just wanted to be able to do what I could so I could be the most prepared for whatever. Well, I didn't even know if that meant college or not. I just knew I wanted to do this.
For sure.
So yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got distracted. I distracted myself there for a second. Back to the dance call.
Dance call.
So you're in this dance call. Is it mostly ensemble roles? Like, are we getting principals in the mix? What is this looking like?
Usually at the dance calls I've been to, it is for ensemble tracks that may or may not cover principal tracks.
Okay.
Or like supporting tracks. I've been in loads of those. Yeah, it just depends. And I was in an audition recently where they did have principal like singer actors, I would say. I say that very loosely, but that's kind of like what, they were in there for. They were in there for the principal tracks, and they were in our dance call as well. So choreographer was so lovely, and he was like, hey, just kind of do, there's two ways to do it. You could do it this way or this way, or and kind of, choose your own adventure. So it's not impossible that, you might get thrown in with a wild mix of people.
For sure.
But very rarely. I'd say the majority of the dance calls I go to are, the dancers going in for these dancer tracks.
Heard. Yeah. Okay. So now from there, like, is it like an ECC situation? Like, are you going to specifically ECC dancer calls? Are you getting it in the mix of the EPA, open call? What's the tea?
I will say I haven't been to a ton of EPAs.
Gotcha.
It's been majority ECCs, an equity course call. That's what we, ECC for short. But a lot of which too, some of the regional houses will do invited like appointments, or you can schedule an appointment online, which I love and prefer. I think it just makes it so much easier, and you know you're going to be in a group. You know you're going to get seen that day. I've had a few lucky ECCs where I got up early, put my name on a list, and then was able to be seen. But more recently, especially now that it's getting into more of the season with a lot of more required calls with these bigger Broadway shows, it's harder and harder to get seen for those. It's been rough. It's been rough. And I know union people that have had trouble even signing up online, things like that. So it's been a weird, rough season.
I mean,
I'd say.
Even with like the EPAs and stuff that I'm going to, there's alternate lists that are like in the 90s, and I'm like, okay, well, obviously non-unions not getting seen, but also some of these union people are not getting seen.
It's crazy. It's gotten so big, and I mean for good reason. Like, I love that so many. There's such a big community of us, and people should feel supported and have health insurance and all that stuff. Yeah, but there was 3 alternate lists at one of the calls I went to. 3. It was crazy.
That's wow.
There was one that was put up in the morning, and then another one that was put up maybe later in the morning. Like crazy. Like how do you even know what to do? And the thing about it too, especially since I just moved here, is like no one tells you what to do. You just kind of have to
No,
figure it
exactly.
out and be like, okay,
You like walk in the
hopefully
room at
whatever.
like 7 in the morning. You're like, hey everyone,
Yeah.
what are all these lines? People, everyone
Yeah.
talk to me right now.
Right.
I know we're all in the mood to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Ugh.
always say the best, like, I don't know, rule to follow is, I always try to be there for when the list is getting
Yes.
transferred. And if you can't like put your name on a list at 6 in the morning or don't want to, like just show up in the morning. And
Yeah.
sometimes they don't even transfer it; they'll build a new one.
Exactly.
So I always say it's so hard because
Mhm.
people have jobs and people have lives and things like
Yeah.
that. But I always think a huge rule of thumb is like if you can go, like
Always.
just go in person, wait there, or go and come back. Like
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of that.
Oh, what a
It's
wild time.
it's a wild thing we do here.
It really is. It really is.
But I love it. It makes it fun.
It's magical.
I say it's a team sport too. I run into people that I've met from school or summer programs or just life or high school. I've seen so many people
Oh,
from high
that's
school.
crazy.
I know. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like we've built such a community of people.
Yeah.
And it is a team sport. Like you have to help each other out. And I like that. Yeah, we can help each other out in so many ways. Like, hey, I'll go grab you a coffee, or hey,
That's like,
you're waiting.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
also, I guess I went to like a super small high school, but
Yeah.
like I think I might be the only one for like years that I can think of who went into
Wild.
this field and like
Yeah.
pursued it. I mean, there's a lot of we're like a music heavy school, but like still, like I graduated, there were 97 kids in my class.
Whoa, yeah.
So I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one that I can think of that is actively pursuing this right now. So
Doing it, yeah.
that's wild. That's a crazy
it's
thought to
wild,
me.
but it's nice because like
Oh yeah.
I'll run into people and they'll be like, "Hey, did you print the music off? Like I have it if you want it."
Amazing.
And like one of my sweet friends, she like wrote like "Have great audition" and like little heart on like one of the sheet music. I was like, that is so nice.
That's
like
adorable.
I love that we could like make it fun. Like it makes it fun when we're doing it together.
We're all in this together.
We're
Yeah,
all
to coin
in
the
this
phrase,
together.
we are all in this together. Close quote, Troy Bolton.
I love.
And company.
I got to see him. Sorry, this is an anecdote. I got to see him get his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh my God.
When we were in LA for Grinch. I got to see him.
When was that? Did he have like that jaw surgery yet?
Yes,
Oh my
he
God.
did. Yeah, but he still looked handsome.
Yeah, of course. It's just, I don't know. He looks so different when I look at him.
I know.
Like,
And Miles Teller was there speaking for him,
wow.
and Kenny Ortega. I was freaking out. It was
my God.
it healed my little kid heart. I love it.
Good for you. That's awesome.
It was great.
You saw history in the making.
I did.
Oh my
Okay,
God. Okay, anywho, this is
yeah.
going to be a tangential episode,
I love
and
it.
everyone just buckle up because we're fun people.
You're
So
ready for the wild ride.
let's say you're going in, dance calls are on the same day. What are you wearing? What are you bringing? Are you wearing the same clothes that you sung in? Like, what is the situation?
This is such a great question because especially early on, I was like, what do I do? And I was kind of trying to watch the people I admired and what they did.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, this is kind of something that I do and I think is like a fun tip. But I always at least try to stay in the same color.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Like I usually wear like a top and leggings, and I'll usually keep whatever I wore to dance in on for sure, just so they can connect what they just saw you dancing in and then, seeing you now as a person. But I usually, the thing I change is I take my hair down just so they can kind of like, yeah, right? I know. Just so they can kind of see me as like a human, like I'm still in my dance wear. I'm still like me, but I'm able to like kind of let my hair down and be like, my actor self now. Yeah.
You're like,
so
this is what my hair looks like, by the way.
Yeah. And also by the time like the singing calls roll around, I'm like, I can't have this ponytail anymore.
Heard.
The hairspray is, but yeah, I bring everything. I usually bring, they'll tell you what to prepare. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And so you just have to literally be prepared for anything. But it's also doing your research. Like if you know it's something that may have tap, bringing your tap shoes, bringing your heels, Laducas, like bring everything. And always like I usually have a extra top sometimes, or like I'll always wear a zip up jacket, and that's sometimes too what I wear when I sing, just because it's so cold in those studios sometimes. But yeah, I always try to stay in the same color though. If like I do put something on, it's like in a similar color tone, so they can associate it.
Of
you know?
course, of course.
It's all like psychology, you know?
Yeah, trick those people. Weasel
No,
your way in those brains.
no, just if I was the red girl, I want to be the red girl the
There
rest
you
of the day,
go.
you know? In a good way. I don't want to be the bad.
Of course.
You know?
You better work, red
I don't want to be the
girl.
bad girl in red. I want to be the good, yeah.
Oh my God, amazing. It's also just such like a battle because I'm always like, I don't want to bring 1,000,000 things with me to sit in this holding room to not get seen, you know?
Absolutely. But and I know people that do change like fully, and like that's totally fine too. Again, it's like what your preference is.
Sure.
That's just what I do. But I also do know, like, I've been in for other like whatever, like principal tracks where I'll like come in like normal clothes and then bring a change of clothes if that's what they're gonna do later.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I'm gonna sing first, I'm gonna wear normal stuff.
Of course.
But
yeah, love that.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about like going in and just like being yourself. So like,
yeah,
especially if you're coming out of that dance call, like you don't want to get into like normal clothes after that.
Yeah, it's weird. It
Oh.
just feels like, and I'm already sweaty. And yeah, I just like that it's just me and that they're just going to see me doing whatever they need to see. And yeah, it's just not, no stress. And I'm also warm. I love that I get to be warm, like vocally and physically before I go in and sing. I love it.
Amazing.
I love when that happens.
Okay. So like you're going in, you get seen, you're going to the dance call. How long is this experience? Like how long are slots usually? I mean, also with cuts and all that jazz, like what are we looking at?
It depends. I mean, these quicker ECCs, these big shows, these big tours that are, happening more recently, they try to get you in and out of there. I've had calls that have been 30 to 45 minutes of just like, that's it. Like you learn it and then you do it and then it's done. So yeah, it depends. There are some, as you get more into like invited calls or callbacks, they do tend to break it down a little bit longer because they really want you to get it.
Yeah.
Which I always appreciate because then you have more time to kind of sink it in. And usually it's sometimes the choreography you already did, which is also great because then you get to like make choices and, really bring yourself and really just have it in your body.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, it tends to be like 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. Depends on how big the groups are. Because some of these, shows are like, we're going to take literally 60 people and you're going to learn it in this huge room with all of these people and not really get to do it full out and then just do it.
That's crazy. Yeah. That is such a crazy turnaround.
Yes. It's wild. It's wild. But it's nice because there's also the opposite of that where you will have, auditions and callbacks that are like a lot smaller and you'll get to really do it full out and they'll get to see you learn it. And I love standing by the panel while I'm learning it because then they can watch me absorb. And I think that's also a part of it too. It's like you have to remember that you're like auditioning to be in a rehearsal room, right? You're not auditioning to like just do the show.
Of course.
So they want to get to see you like learn it and how you interact with people. I think that's also important for them to know.
Of course. I mean, they want to build a nice community, so they got to know what you're like to work with.
Exactly.
That being said, folks, don't be fake. Don't be in there all smiley. Be yourself. Be kind. Just be courteous and show them what you got.
Be a nice person. I think a lot of that comes back to humility.
Of course.
And, remembering why you're there, remembering that you enjoy it and why you love to do it. And I think that's really important to always go in there remembering that. And that's something too I was going to say. Something that's important to me is I build like consistency before an audition. Like I have my playlist that I listen to and I do the same kind of makeup and I have my hair that I always do. And like I have a rotation of tops that I rotate through. But it's like having things that I know work and I've used before and I feel confident in. And I don't have to stress about, oh my gosh, it just makes it for that much easier. Because when you get in the room, it's going to be like, oh, wait, you're learning things and it's so quick and da-da-da-da-da, So if you can have like a sense of calm and
comfortability.
And just comfortability to do, wear what you feel great in. And I think that's also really helpful in remembering the audition combo.
Of course.
You're not thinking about what happened 2 hours ago. You're thinking about, okay, I'm in the room. I'm ready. I feel good.
I'm in my clothes that I'm used to and feel comfortable in, and I'm curating this experience for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really curation for sure, because you're wanting to bring your best self. And and that's not always gonna, you're not always gonna have the best circumstance before
There's
you go
so
to
many
audition.
factors.
Oh my
Especially in New
gosh.
York City, like
Yes.
literally anything can happen on the
Yes.
commute there.
Yes.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh, the trains, like
Mhm.
you just never know. So
No.
the more you can give yourself peace of mind and calm and centering of yourself before, it's like, yeah, I think
Of
that's really
course.
helpful.
Of
Mhm.
course.
Easier said than done though, but
Always easier said than
yeah.
done. We talked about this a little bit in the callback situation, but talk to me about the good old dreaded cut.
Wow. Yeah.
Ugh.
This is crazy because a lot of times too you're in with the same people, these people, other people in the room.
Yep.
And it always can be kind of like weird, You're like,
Mhm.
you're cut or you're not cut, and it's kind of, an awkward thing.
Yep.
But I think you just have to remember, like, it's so impersonal in some ways.
Of
Like they're
course.
really just trying to be quick.
Mhm.
And I always think like, okay, like that. If it was a no for me that day, I'm like, oh great, it's like stocking up for the next.
Yeah.
Like yes, which I love. I'm like, okay, wait, that wasn't it. So like, what's it gonna be?
Wow.
Yeah.
What a lovely, optimistic way to look at that.
Well, it's all perspective,
It
right?
really is.
Like this job and this career can get so, monotonous and exhausting, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. But if you can kind of like, play, perspective games with yourself and like do what works for you, like that has helped me. It's been like, okay, that was a no. One more no leads you to your yes, right?
Wow.
So
You're inspirational.
oh, you're so
Oh my God, the people are gonna love you.
oh my gosh.
Okay, so in the timeline of things, we got the
Yeah.
auditions, we got the dance calls. Is a dance call considered a callback? Is sometimes a dance call only part of a callback?
It depends.
Okay.
Yeah, I think both.
Mhm.
Like both have been true. I've had calls where it's just been like, we're just doing this dance again, that's it.
Mhm.
And also it just depends too, like I didn't realize this coming into it for the first time, but like there'll be like agent appointments, and that will usually be like what is considered a like callback for like people that went to the local call or just
Gotcha.
people who went to the open call.
Mhm.
And then you'll have another callback after that. And I didn't like realize that until I was in it, and I was like, oh, I see. Because I was like, why are we doing this again? But it's because now they're grouping together everyone they saw from each place,
So many hoops, so many
hoops.
rounds.
And I don't even know how they like do it. Like I think about the management positions that are organizing these auditions. I'm like, I could never do what you do.
Of
Like
course.
it's just not. Oh my gosh.
Also, like
the
you want to get
logistics.
excited about things too. So like anytime like I get like any message that something else is happening after this, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I got an eco cast. Like they love me. This is a callback, even though it's 100% just an audition.
Right.
I'm like,
And that's the thing. It's like you kind of have to like I don't know. My boyfriend, he's so good at like taking things like for what they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of helped me too, is like you just can't put too much stock in things
No.
because you just have no idea.
Yeah.
And especially too, like this past summer, there was a lot, as you can see on Broadway, there's a lot of new things coming out.
Yes.
And a lot of those things, those calls were like, okay, we don't really know what they're looking for because these are new productions and they haven't been done before. So it's like, you just never know, right? Like you just don't know what the heck they're looking for at all. So it's just kind of like, just go, put yourself out
Have
there.
fun.
And you don't know if someone will see you in that call and bring you in for something else too. Like, yeah, it's just about being brave, right?
Okay. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about mover calls? I would imagine that you have not had to attend a mover call yourself.
I have run a mover call once or twice in my life.
Amazing. Is it the same as the dance call typically?
From what I've done and from what I've seen and heard from my friends that have, been in a number of different things, it's usually this pretty similar. It's just a different audition combo, or it's like an abridged version, or just like a different version of what we had done in the dancer call. And it's just to see musicality and, see where like, see where you are, in your movement journey and everything like that. So I always say like, too, like, don't stress about it. Like they know you and like they know what you're capable of, and they're just trying to see what you're capable of,
Heard.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I
we love it.
They're so chill. It's so chill, right? It's
of course. We're there to do what we love, so make sure you're making it an experience that you love.
And it's all like we're there to storytell at the end of the day. And you could have quadruple turns and like a tilt behind your head, but like, are you able to tell a story that they're wanting to tell? And like something that I always go back to, something that I learned in Cats was like, you will do the jobs that you were skilled for, like you were set up to do, right? Like I worked so much in college about like where to breathe.
Yeah.
And breathing in different places in my like
Very
ribs
important.
and so important. And like breathing like a dancer, I say it in quotes, you
Of
know,
course.
and breathing like an actor in quotes, you know, like there's different ways to breathe. And I had kind of worked through that. It was huge growing pain in college of trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because I had breathed in my ribs for so long. And then like doing Cats, I was able to utilize that. And I was like, oh, like it clicked. I was like, oh, that's why I went through all of that. You know, like you really become like prepared for what the next thing is.
Don't
you know,
love those moments
oh
where
my
you're
gosh.
just like, it like comes to you like months
like,
or years
oh
later, and you're like, it's like Jimmy Neutron Brain Blast.
Yes,
like,
Raven Simone, like,
wow.
Yeah. I love all our Disney references.
Oh my god. Well, that was Nickelodeon for me.
Oh yes, right. But
we're good. We're good.
The Disney Nick, you know,
Yeah.
Childhood.
Indeed.
I'm with you. Yeah, no, it's so true though. I was like, oh, like everything I had worked for and like worked on and like the type of dancer I am, like it fit what that track meant and what that track needed to do.
Yeah.
And that is just like so cool. Like what's meant for you is meant for you. And people
That's
say
exactly
that all
right.
the time, but it's true when you think back on like what you've trained in and what you've worked on and honed in on in college or in school.
Yeah.
Like it will come to fruition, and you're going to use all of those tools in that tool belt. Just a matter of time.
What is meant for you will not pass you.
It really is true.
So much. Speaking of which, so one time I did indeed get invited to a dance call.
I love it.
I attended an open call for a regional theater near where I lived, and I showed up, and they knew me because I had worked there on costumes previously. And I went in and I sang, and afterwards they like line you up outside, and then they look at the headshots and they say, this person, and this person, like, we would like to see you at the dance call. So I obviously go out in the hallway, not thinking anything of it, because I'm like, my resume clearly says that I am not a dancer. Like, no one's ever going to expect me to go in that room. Like, I am fine. I can't wait to go and stop and get a nice lunch on the way home. And they pulled my headset out and said my name. And I was like, what? I was like, dear God, what? And like,
oh my gosh,
I brought my change of clothes, like just in case, you know, like I was
and
like,
look at you came prepared.
No, truly. And so I had to stay for the rest of the afternoon. Let me tell you, I am not exaggerating. Also, like, I'm a very humble person when it comes to what I can and can't do. I was the worst one in that room. Like I was. I'm very aware of that. Everyone was aware of that. And it was just absolutely wild. And I was in with all of these people that, like, it was a lot of students. It was a lot of people from BOCO. It was a lot of people from Hart. You know, anyone in the New England area was coming to this. So I was in with all of these people, a lot of whom, like, I was just starting to meet too. Like, a lot. And people, like, met me afterwards as well. So, like, this was their first impression of me. It was wild. I was so... I just wasn't able to do it.
That's
okay. I wasn't able to do it.
And that's totally okay.
And I think, yes, it was definitely a learning experience. I came out with a lot of humility,
it's so humbling. I've had so many instances like that. I actually took like a mock audition class a few weeks ago, and they taught the combo. It was so quick. It was like really repetitive. And I was like, like, I felt like I'd never danced in my life.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's wild how you can like feel
truly,
and that feeling is like in your chest. Like I know it. I totally.
So
totally
then, my question for you is, I'm curious to hear your perspective. If you get invited and you know that you're not that capable, do you still go?
I think you still go. I think I think it shows your work ethic and your heart and your like willingness to try. And I think that means more to them, you know? And maybe they don't think that deep into it, but I think they do. Yeah. And I have, when I'm on the other side of the table, you know, I think about those things. And I think the willingness to try means so much more. And you're also like putting yourself in an uncomfortable position. Yes. Like, you know,
very vulnerable.
And it shows you kind of what you need to like work on, I think, at the end of the day, too. It's like, okay, like I want to work on this, or like, okay, that felt good, but maybe this I could work on, or that went a lot better than I thought it would. And you know, you hear the stories of so many other Broadway icons of like they went in for something else and then booked, you know, something even bigger,
Mhm.
just because that choreographer director had saw
Of
them
course.
and fell in love with them there. So you just never know. You never know.
You don't.
And it doesn't hurt to try.
No.
And like we grow when we're in uncomfortable positions, as much as it stinks and you're like, ah, and you feel that pit in your stomach and
Mhm.
chest, and you're like, you just, it also like, it humbles you. It puts you like in a place of like, okay, it really can align where you want to go from there, right?
Totally.
And I think that's important
Yeah.
because everyone's going to feel that way. Regardless if you're a
100%.
dancer, a singer, actor, you're going to feel uncomfortable in a room.
Yes.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you just have to be ready and
Yes.
willing to, put yourself out there. And that's what this is.
And have fun.
You have to just keep putting yourself out there and getting people to know you and getting offices to know you.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll see you for who you are.
Totally.
It also is a match of like personality, right? I talk about this a lot with students I work with at different colleges and schools and stuff about agencies. I'm like, it's all about personality, like who they can vibe with.
Yep.
And same goes for schools, and then same goes for shows. It's like, does your personality match the vibe of what they're putting together?
Mm-hmm.
And you may like have like totally bombed that call, but if you connected with like that,
For
what they were
sure.
looking for energy wise, then
For
like
sure.
there's no denying that, right? Like it's all about energy too at the end of the day.
100%. I definitely walked out of that room and I was like, wow, you know what? I'm never gonna do that again.
Yeah.
I was like, I will never
And that's
attend a
so
call
good to
again
know.
and whatnot. But now in hindsight, I'm like, no, if it happens, I should go. I should try. I should
totally try.
be seen,
right. And but also it is also good on the other side of the coin is like, it is also good to have no's. Like to say no to things that you don't think you're right for
sure.
Or, you don't feel comfortable, like really, really don't feel comfortable. Like not just comfortable, like you don't feel safe, like
for sure.
If you don't feel like you're in a position that is helpful for growth, it's okay to say no. You know, and there's shows and there's things that I've turned down that I'm like, okay, I would never want to do that, or that's just not my vibe or not my energy or not something I want to work on right now. And that's okay too. Like it's okay to say no. I think so many times too, especially when you first move to the city, you're like, yes, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna audition for all of these things. I'm gonna just like throw myself on the wall and like throw, and see what sticks. Yeah. And it's also important on the other side of that to say no and be like, okay, I know what I'm well suited for.
Yes.
And I'm going to put myself in the rooms that I'm suited for. So like, even if it is a dance call, like maybe it's for a show that like, you are like it,
Exactly.
So I just think that's also important too. It's like,
for sure.
Just like what I said with like the research, like you're doing the research before you go into the room of like, who's going to be in the room? What is the show? What does it entail? What are you going to have to do in it?
Set yourself up for success in whatever ways you can ahead of time.
Exactly. As much as you can, Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's so much.
Okay, so like for those folks like me who are not maybe the best dancers, what are your options? Like what are especially like in New York City, like what can we do to like at least get ourselves in shape to not feel as much of a fool or like feel comfortable with the environment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's no reason to ever, of course you're going to feel like so like a fish out of water.
Of course.
And like I'll speak for the dancers that I know and the dancer I was, like going into a singing call, like those first, going into college and things like that. It's like, it's scary. Like we're all going to be put in a position where you feel like, so
Yikes.
ridiculous. Yeah, you're like, what am I doing? But I'd say like I always tell my students a huge foundation is ballet. It just gets you that balance and you're listening to music and it's very it centers you in so many ways.
Right.
It's a foundation of so much. And I grew up despising ballet. Like, so bad. I was like, it's so like dun, 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 like like the piano. And I was like, are you kidding? I'm like, I want to get to jazz and hip hop and like actually like dance, But like through college, I really fell in love with ballet. And I could see myself as a dancer like change.
Heard.
And so, ballet is such a foundation in so many ways. I mean, there's other ways of getting that foundation as well. It's just that, dance has been built off of that in some way, shape, or form. So, but I always say like yoga, Pilates too is also a great way of like using your alignment and getting like body awareness,
Mhm.
that's huge. Like that's what dancing is. And some of the best dancers that I love and admire are just so aware. They're just so aware of
I've
their
never
body.
heard that. That's why.
It's
That's awesome.
crazy. Yeah. And that's what it is. Like when people are like, I can't dance, it's like, no, it's just having an awareness.
Gotcha.
And yeah, like every little tendon. Like
Yeah.
there are people that can control that much. Like that's how crazy it
That's
is.
crazy.
You know? And it's so thrilling to watch too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just about having body awareness and and knowing what feels right and what, you know, works on your body too. I think that's also why I didn't like ballet growing up, because I was like, oh, I feel like I'm not really like a ballerina. I don't know. That's not like a very loose term, but like I was like, oh, I didn't really like it, but then I also didn't really feel like it looked good on me. And then I was like, why am I saying that to myself, first of all? And like second of all, it's how it, like, you put the technique on you, right? Like, so everybody's gonna do it differently. And once I learned that, it was like, wow, okay, the freedom. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like having that freedom felt so good.
Yeah.
Because it really is like, you're not trying to look like any one person. You're just trying to put the technique on your body and make it feel right on you, like a perfect pair of clothes. You know, just like that. But yeah, those are great ways of, you know, just getting more comfortable.
Yeah.
And there's also some great teachers in the city at Steps. I love Christine Cornish's class. There's so many more.
That is Steps Off Broadway,
Steps
folks.
Off Broadway. But in Broadway Dance Center and Parry Dance. Parry Dance has free ballet classes if you have
Wow.
yeah, if you have like a some sort of like contract, if you have like some professional working like theater or dance contract, you can get free classes at Parry Dance, and not many people know that, so I'm putting it out there.
Okay.
It's great. And so yeah, I mean, just like throw yourself in, right? But I think it's also fun. A lot of people like Christine's class because she's so character driven.
Okay.
And that is like a way you can really connect, because like if you're not much of a dancer, you know, or you don't feel as comfortable as a dancer, I'll say, you know, you can go in that class and build a character, and then, you know, and then you're just putting movement on top of it. So I think that's also really good. And there's so many teachers like that. I'm shouting out Christine because I really do love and adore her, and she was a cat. Meow. But there's so many other amazing teachers out there, and yeah,
rock and roll, folks. Get out there, take those classes,
and try, just like experiment, you know.
Okay, so now you said you weren't a ballerina, but also you don't need to be.
No,
you know, there are so many things out there, and especially like when you're in the middle of the grind and whatnot, and like you're auditioning for anything, like there are still other things that you can be doing that may not be like specifically musical theater.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I think there's so much, and it's fun to find your niche, right? You know, I have friends that are incredible tappers, and they can do it all too, but they, you know, they have that tap kind of thing. And there's people that are really strong, athletic, you know, it's all just, you know, who you are and what you enjoy doing. And also, you know, don't put yourself in a box, right? Like, go to that class that you feel less comfortable in. Go, you know, I had a wonderful friend who I just love and adore. And she was like, I take 4 classes each week. And she's like, I take 2 that I feel really comfortable in, really confident in. And then I take 2 that are going to push me, and I'm going to like feel uncomfortable in the room. And I was like, oh, that's so great. Because it's like,
awesome. That's
you're
so
getting
smart.
both sides, and you're like having a full week of like classes that push you and classes that push you, but also you feel like yourself in, you know? So yeah, like take a hip hop class, take a tap class. Like, you have to, like, it's so fun to just kind of be, you know, playing in all the different worlds. And that's also important for just being well-rounded. And especially if you're someone that's younger and you're starting your career, and you're starting, you know, you're in high school, or you're looking to go into college, or you're in college, it's like, don't limit yourself. Like, go try everything and, you know, see what works.
Of course.
And even then, if you still don't feel comfortable, keep going, right? You know?
Exactly.
And that's how you grow.
That is how you grow. So like, say you're trying to do the thing over here, you know, but like, what I'm not saying this needs to be a pivot in any way, but like, what are other ways that dancers can be like working when not specifically in a musical theater setting?
Yeah. You know? So this is something I'm really a huge advocate for, because not a lot of people talk about this, of like dancers in high school, like trying to figure out how they can like dance later on. And there are so many other tracks you can do, but I kind of pull it down to 4 that are like primary, like they end up going, they end up being in bigger bubbles, but the 4 tracks I usually say that dancers can take, into college and into beyond are you can do a musical theater dance route, which is, the one I did and
Of
the
course,
one we're
of course.
talking about. Commercial dance route, which there are some colleges that do have commercial BFA programs or
What do you mean by commercial dance?
commercial dance as in like music videos and
Gotcha.
TV and commercials and all sorts of different stuff. Like the more of an LA kind of
Heard.
dance track. But you can still do it on the East Coast. There's
Of course.
plenty of commercial dance work in Atlanta and here. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean by like commercial dance.
Heard.
And there's also conservatories that do that too, that are like 2-year conservatories that do like commercial dance, certificates that you can go and then you can, meet people and go from there. And then I say there's concert dance, which BOCO also has, and a lot of dance programs that have been around for a long time are primarily concert dance. And that's kind of like, your it's like your companies, your dance companies. So Parsons Dance or
Is that like your Rockettes?
Yes and
Ish.
no.
Okay.
I mean, I would put Rockettes a little bit in the commercial land.
Gotcha.
Just because I know a lot of people that went to Pace for commercial dance and then do Rockettes and end up doing that. And there's a lot of like press that goes into Rockettes.
Heard.
So it's a little bit more like commercial. You're doing it and you're putting out a product too. Whereas concert dance a little bit more experimental and artistic. And you're doing like deep new works or shows, and it's very, very experimental and explorative. And so that's like the concert dance route.
Heard.
And then dance team, which has so like grown huge. Like I don't know if you saw the dance team like nationals this summer.
I didn't.
I'm going to show you the videos. They are incredible. Oh my gosh, it's insane. I am like wishing I did this. It was insane. So it's like a lot of big colleges, Ohio, Michigan, who's like the big ones that just won this year? LSU is a huge one. These big like colleges that just have dance teams and it's like precision dance. They usually do like a palm and then like a hip hop or like a contemporary jazz routine, and they work on it all year and then they compete it. And usually they're like dance teams also for like the sports that are at the school. But it's a great way to stay dancing in college and like not have to make it like a career or have to study it. Like, if you don't want to study it, if you grew up at a competition studio or just grew up dancing and you want to keep dancing but don't want to do it like forever, it's like a great way to like finish out like your dancing career as a dance team like member. I've seen so many people do it and absolutely love it. Clemson's another big one. I have a friend there that I love that she's doing that right now and she's having the time of her life.
Of course.
And it's so cool. So yeah, I always say those 4 are like the main ones. Of course, there's so many, exceptions to the rules, but I think it's interesting to, think about those 4 tracks, and because especially as a dancer, if you grew up just dancing, it's like, what do you do from there? Like, what do you think of from there? And I think that's just helpful to kind of whittle it down. Like, okay, I want to end up doing this.
Yeah.
So it would make more sense for me to do concert dance, or I really want to do like be a background dancer for like an artist. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to a commercial dance program and like, grow there. So I just think that's something cool to like
get
talk
yourself
about.
Well-rounded, people.
Yeah.
I mean, actors and stuff. You'd see actors doing improv and stand-up and all that jazz, and broadening those
it's
horizons.
like having that kind of track. Like, oh, if you want to do like more improv work, like you're gonna do like more of a acting program. It's like it's kind of like finding what you need to do or want to work on, and then just growing from there. Yeah.
Oh. The world is your oyster, and you are its pearl, people.
It is.
You are all its pearl.
And you are enough. Not many people say, we don't say it enough, but you are enough.
You are enough. You can do this.
Yes.
You know what? We believe in you.
Absolutely.
Because we're out here trying our darndest. That's how it goes.
It's what it's about. It's the constant highs and lows, right? Like it's never ending, but it's such a joy to be on the journey, and the highs are so high and the lows can also be so low. But, it's cool that we're able to make a career of doing what we've loved since we were kids, you know?
And when you're doing the thing, even if it's for such like a short amount of time, like it makes up for all of that, you know? That feeling is just, it's magical.
Yes.
Wow.
Magical. Disneyland.
Oh, good times, good times.
So many things.
Yeah, folks. So that's kind of our spiel. I think we've really hit most of the points. I think everyone is just so prepared for their dance calls now, or know how to get prepared.
Oh gosh, I hope so.
Yeah, and I'm so excited to see them go out and thrive.
Yes,
you know,
me too.
We are your biggest supporters. Speaking of
your
which,
Broadway besties.
If you want to be our biggest supporters, you can do so by finding us on Patreon. General disclaimer, as I always do, we will not be gatekeeping any vital information on there. That is just for fun, bonus content. If you can't get enough, if you want to learn more about us, just silly stuff on there. So come over, join. It also helps us keep the podcast running for hopefully a very long time. So hop on over there. There's some fun stuff up there. And yeah, thank you so much to my lovely Taryn here. It was an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you if you would like to be found?
Yes. Yeah, please find me. I'm on Instagram at TM Smithson.
Amazing.
And connect with me.
Absolutely. And of course, folks, you can always find us on all social media platforms. I'll say most social media platforms at BA to Broadway. And yeah, thank you so much for an awesome week, and we will see you next time. Bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.